All right, let's get started. Any questions from the last class? No. So in the last class, we were talking about IRR, right? What are some problems of using IRR? Like what are some situations if we use IRR, we could end up with wrong results?
Non-conventional cash flows,
Absolutely, and
mutually exclusive products.
absolutely. Good job, Leonard. So non-conventional cash flows. Problem is, in these situations, we could have two error, right? And that if we have two error, and we may not be able to decide should we accept or reject the project, right? Today we're gonna learn, is there any way we can fix this problem? If there are non-conventional cash flows, by tweaking the process a little bit, are we supposed to get one error or not? Make sense? This is called modified error or MIRR. Make sense? Now, how can we do that? So we have to tweak a little bit. So let's think about this example. On day zero, we need $60 investments, right? Time one, we will generate $155 cash flow. Time two, we again need $100 investments. Now let's say required return of this project is 20%. Now tell me how much you got as an IRR in your financial calculator from this example. We're gonna build from there. What about that? Gabby, sign in forward. How much IRR you got? Did you get the IRR for that? How much? 25. How much is NPV if I say this is the required rate of return? Zero. That means we have two error, right? In this case, it's not a problem because in both cases, our required rate of return is lower than the error, right? So we can say accept the project, right? But what if our required rate of return is 28%? There is a problem, right? We don't know, accept or reject. So we have to fix it. We'll try to calculate one error for this problem. Going back to original issues, assume again required return 20%. So let's calculate the modified error for this problem. There are three different approaches. Discounting approach, reinvestment approach, combination approach. To calculate modified errors. In the reinvestment approach, what do you do? Or the discounting approach, what do you do? The first one, the discounting approach. In the discounting approach, the idea is using the required return. Using the required return, find the present value of the outflows here. Make sense? Using the required return, find the present value out here. So tell me, what is the present value of cash flow 100, negative 100 at year 2, at year 0, if we use 20% discount rate? Cash flow negative 100 at year 2. Find the present value of this cash flow using 20% discount rate here. I passed it on. Okay. It didn't go. But can you see what I write there on the whiteboard? Right? What is the present value?
$69.44.
69.44. Right? Anyone getting different number? You all getting 69.44? Sum them up. Year 0, 129.44 negative cash flow. Year 1, 155 positive cash flow. Make sense? Now calculate the error. What is the new IRR or modified IRR?
This is what 20% is right now.
In IRR, you don't need the rate of return, right? In IRR, cash flow 0, which is this, sorry, cash flow 0, cash flow 1, compute IRR.
What is it changing
Which one?
for the cash flow? It's negative 60 and then positive 69, 44.
Negative 60 and negative 69. Because this was negative 100, right? So yeah, it should be negative. Good catch.
So that were positive 100, it would be positive 60.
Yes, if it were positive, it should be positive. And we are just discounting the outflows. Outflow to outflow, inflow to inflow.
So the IRR would be 19.
Something like that. So basically, if we go to here, our cash flow 0 is negative 129.44. 129.44. Cash flow 1 is basically 155. That's it. Compute IRR. 19.7466 or 75. So it's not something new we learned today, just the process, the tweaking process. So what is the tweaking process? Initially, the cash flow was like that, right? We know that if it's a non-conventional cash flow, we should have two IRRs. That's going to be problematic. We just wanted to fix the problem. How we fix the problem? In a discounting approach. All future outflows should be discounted back to today. All future outflows should be discounted back to today. Now, if we discount this $100, outflow $100 today, this is the value today. If we sum them up, we generated another series of cash flow. Now there is no conventional problems because sign changed once only. No conventional problems. IRR should be only 1, which is 19.7466%. Yes.
You go through it on my calculator one more time.
Okay. Let's clean it first. Cash flow second here. Okay. What is our cash flow? 0. New one. Negative 129.44. 129. Negative. Enter. Cash flow 1, 155. Positive. Scroll down. Frequency 1. Now compute IRR. Compute. Easy to calculate a fixed or it's still the problem?
I'm still figuring it out.
Okay. So if you even if you type in the information, it kicks back to you cash flow 0. Then it's a problem. Any questions so far? Discounting approach. Good. Okay. Now forget about this. Forget about that. Okay. Forget about that. Going back, base problem. So going back to base problem. So we still have the problem, right? Because sign changed more than once, right? Now we'll fix this problem following reinvestment approach. So how can we do that? In reinvestment approach, the tweaking is cash inflows should be reinvested until the end. Cash inflows should be reinvested until the end. So that means this will come here. Calculate the future value. So the future value is basically 155 times 1.2, 1 year. Right? Cash flow times the compounding rate. In the calculator, N is 1, return is 20, present value 155, payment 0, future value calculate. What is the 1 year future value of inflow? 155? Negative or positive? It's a positive cash flow. Yeah, positive 186. Right? Anyone getting different number? No? We good. So now the new cash flow is minus 60 here. Nothing here, nothing in year 1, okay? And then positive 86 here. Right? Any non-conventional problem exist? No, right? Sign changed only once. Now using this cash flow, negative 60, there's 0. Positive 86, you have 2. Calculate the IRR or the modified IRR from this problem. You got it? Okay. What is the new MIRR? It should not be the same. I'll explain why, but it should not be the same. Yes, absolutely. So same process. If you go to the financial calculator, cash flow 0 right now is 60. Enter. Cash flow 1 is 0. Enter. Cash flow 2 is positive 86. Enter. Compute error. Compute 19.72. It should not be the same. Questions so far? Reinvestment approach. So the idea is in reinvestment approach, any inflow in between the project, okay, will be reinvested until the end. So that's the idea. Any inflow in the middle of the projects will be reinvested until the end. And then just calculate that out. Final one, combination approach. So forget about, okay, keep that. So in the combination approach, that's basically the mix of both. Mix of both. So it's trying to tell you any outflows after day 0, discount back to date. Make sense? Any inflows after day 0, reinvest back future. Any outflows after day 0, discount back today at 20%. Any inflows after day 0, compound to future. So we know that the discounted value of this one minus 69.44, right? Compounded value of this one was 186, right? If we generate the new cash flows, so basically at day zero minus 129.44, here it should be 186. Combination approach. There will be nothing in the middle. All the outflows after day zero, discount back today. All the inflows after day zero, compound towards the future, towards the end. Mix or both. Now cover that up. Yes.
Why is it 186 to 186?
Okay, good point. In the last problem, reinvestment approach. This was coming here 186, okay? Then we adjusted the cash flow, right? But in the combination approach, this 100 comes to here. Making sense? Let me redefine. 0, 1, 2, minus 60, 145, 186, right? Sorry. Minus 100, right? Original capital, right? What is the assumption of combination approach? Take it here. Does it exist anymore? Take it there. Does it exist anymore? But for the reinvestment approach, what do we did? We only compounded this one to here. So for the reinvestment approach, that existed because we only played with the inflow that existed. So for the reinvestment approach, we did not discount that here. That's why it was 86. Good questions, make sense here? But for the combination, we are actually shifting both in towards two different directions. They do not exist anymore. Now calculate the new IRR from this approach. How much you got the new IRR?
Yeah, 19.87.
Okay. 19.87. Do you all get the same number? So ideally, cash flow 0 is 129.44 negative. Cash flow 2 is 186 positive. 0 in the middle. Okay. Makes sense? So if you want to just make a quick overview. What is IRR? what is MIRR or modified IRR? To fix the problem of non-conventional cash flows, modified IRR exists. What they do? They tweak the cash flows so that sign changed only once, and it reduces the probability that we may have two IRR. That's the main assumptions of modified IRR. One of the good things of modified IRR is that when we are discounting or compounding the cash flows, okay, and trying to generate the new version of cash flow, we assume that all of these investments and discounting are at required rate of return, cost of capital. From the last class, we learned that in general, if we calculate IRR, it assumes that all of the reinvestments or discounting are not in the required rate of return, right? That's the problem. But in the modified IRR, when you were discounting or compounding the cash flows, one period before and after, we are assuming that they will be compounded or discounted at required rate of return or cost of capital. That's one of the good things. And that is the reason. If you compare these three approach, we are trying to play with one of the other cash flows at required rate of return, either compounding or discounting, creating a different series of cash flows, right? Then we are calculating the IRR, and that is the reason. In three different approach, the modified IRR is little bit different, little bit, not much, right? But the good thing is that we have one IRR. Now we can make the decision, accept or reject. We have one IRR, not two. Make sense? Any questions so far? The final tools or techniques we're going to learn for this chapter is called, all of the calculations we did today, they're already in the slide. So if you want to review, if you can do that. Final approach we're going to do today is profitability index. So what is a profitability index? So profitability index is basically a modified version of NPV. If you look at the formula, right? If you look carefully, it's a modified version of NPV. In NPV, what do we do? Right? We subtract outflow from inflow, right? So that we can look at the absolute wealth creation or destruction, right? But now it's a relative version. For each $1 of investment today, how much we are getting from the profit. So that's the interpretation. Decision rules, when to accept, when to reject. PI is greater than 1, accept, else reject. Because if PI, or profit index, is greater than 1, it means inflow, present value of inflow is more than present value of outflow. Makes sense? If PI is 1.1, we are trying to get a 10% return, right? PI is 0.9. We are not generating any return, not value. So that's the problem. If we go through those checklists, time value of money, PI considered that. Risk, PI considered that. Value creation, PI considered that. We can also think of using PI as an alternative to accept or reject any capital investment decision. So advantages of PI. This is just a modified version of NPV, so we can trust it. Easy to understand. And one good thing of PI is like it gives you the results in terms of relative measures, right? Each $1 of investments, how much you are generating. But the problem of PI is similar to IRR. One of the major problem of PI is similar to IRR. And the problem is when there are mutually exclusive projects, PI may end up in incorrect decisions, similar to IRR. When we're going to a mutually exclusive projects, comparing mutually exclusive projects, PI may end up in incorrect decisions. If you compare these two projects, let's say they're mutually exclusive, you cannot take both. Let's say you cannot take both. You can take one of the other. According to PI, which one is better? A, right? Because the PI value is 1.5 for A, for B is 1.25. But according to NPV, which one is better? Definitely B, right? So that's the major problem of PI. If it's a mutually exclusive projects, PI may lead to incorrect decisions. But other than that, PI is just a modified version of NPV. It's a very good proxy because it takes care of time value of money, risk, value creation, everything. And it also let you know for $1 of investments, how much you are generating. You can think about you're generating 50% here. You can think about you're generating 25% here, right? But it ignores the absolute changes in wealth maximization. As a result, in mutually exclusive projects, it will end up with incorrect decision. Make sense so far? Any questions about NPV, payback, discounted payback, IRR, modified IRR, or PI? Capital budgeting in practice. Let's say you are going to join industry or any corporations. What they do? What is the practice? We know that so many tools and techniques we learn in the chapter, throughout the chapter. In practice, these two are the most used in practice. But we know that if you want to use both of these, which one to give more preference, right? When you are considering inferior IRR, you should give more preference. Right? So in the industry, in the market, they actually use more of that, NPV and IRR. Okay, if we have no questions so far, let's solve this big problem, then we are good to go for today. We all done. So let's think about the cash flow first. So today 100 and then 25 for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Now, what is the payback period? Yes, only 4 years. Why? Right? So at the end of year 4, what we're getting? We're getting 25 here, 50 here, 75 here, 100 here, right? So end of year 4, in terms of raw numbers, our investment is back, right? Accept or reject. Accept, right? Because that was a requirement. Payback 4 years, right? Feel free to raise your hand if you get a different number, okay? Discounted payback. How much is the discounted payback? Who wants to volunteer? Yes, let it.
I got 5.185 years.
5.185 years. Okay. Everyone got the same thing. You got the same. Okay. What is so we got two different opinions. One is 5.18 and one is stop calculating, right? What is the other one? I guess. Yes.
No, it's only generally cash flows for 5 years. We don't know what happens after 5 years, so we can't say that we will ever pay it off.
Absolutely. It's not like we can't say, we should say there is no cash flow after that. So there is no discounted payback. So basically, project ends at year 5. Nothing after that. Nothing after that. It said that investment today, 100,000. Each year, 25, 25, 25, 25,000 for 5 years now. Project ends there. No more cash flows after that. Make sense? So if you discount this by 1.09, 25, 1.092, 25, 1.093, 25, 1.094, 1.095, right? You have to keep summing. Now, what is the value you got here for this one? $22.9, let's say, for the second one. $21 flat. So end of year 2, we have right? You have to sum them up. End of year 2, these are the cash flows on a discounted basis we received. Make sense? So 0.9, 43.9, right? What is the value here? $19.3. So 19.3 plus 43.9. Something like that, 62.2. If you sum them up. Right? What is the value here?
17.7.
17.7, 63.2, 80.9. So what is the value here after 5? We discount 25 by 16.2. So basically, end of year one, our discounted cash flow basis payback amount is 22,000 something. Adding this with year two cash flow, 43,000 something. Adding that with year three discounted cash flow, 63,000 something. Keep adding up. Project ends here. That's it. Project will stop giving cash flow. How much on a discounted basis we received? 97.1, something like that, roughly. So that means we never received the entire investments on a discounted basis. We never received the entire investments on a discounted basis from this project. So in that case, we can say that there is no discounted period for this project. Make sense? If the project continues for 6 years, hypothetically, if the project continues for 6 years, then we can say that 5 years something fractionally. Make sense? NPV. How much NPV you got? That should be the input on the calculator, right? Something negative less than 3,000, right? You can see that because the total value is 97 something, something negative less than 3,000. Okay, 2,700,
58 points.
except reject. Reject, right? Absolutely reject, right? If as a CEO, you don't want to destroy the value, right? Sometimes they do that. Because they have excess cash flows, they want to use it. How much IRR you got? 7.93 is the IRR. Accept or reject? Absolutely reject. And if you look carefully, both NPV and IRR giving us the same decisions because conventional cash flows, because there is nothing mutually exclusive going on here. Both are giving us same results. That's what we say. Most of the cases, NPV IRR gives you same result. Any questions so far about any tools, techniques we learned from chapter 9? It's really, really important chapter. So make sure you understand the process, assumptions, intuitions, how things are going on. Okay. See you on the next.